सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ओं. We are in chapter 17 titled SradhatrayaVibhagaYoga. We have completed up to the fourth sloka. We will take up the fifth sloka now. Asastra vihitam goram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambahankara samyuktaha kamaraga balanvitaha कर्षयन्तः शरीरस्थं भूतग्राममचेतसः मां चैवान्तः शरीरस्थं तान् विद्यासुरनिश्चयान् आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य त्रिविधो भवति प्रियः यज्ञस्तपस्तदा दानं तेषां भेदमिमं शृणु आयुः सत्त्वबलारोग्य सुखप्रीतिविवर्धनाः रस्या स्निग्धा स्थिरा हृद्याः आहारा सात्विकप्रियाः. Shraddha Sahita Puja. This is what we are discussing. Arjuna imagines that a bhakta, a devotee who has faith, who has got absolute reverence towards God, who is interested in religious sadhana. Therefore, he performs puja with Shraddha and Bhakti. Shraddha Sahita Pujakaha. But the problem is, even though he has got faith and reverence towards God, and puja he does, but the puja he does not know the method of doing. He doesn't know the proper way of doing the puja because he has not studied scriptures. So he is scripturally illiterate person. So Ajna Shraddhadu Pujakaha, a rare combination. A spiritually illiterate but full of faith, and he performs the puja in any way he feels like. Now, Arjuna poses a question. Under what category will his Shraddha be? It is Shraddha which is mixed with mistaken puja. Even though the Shraddha is proper, the mode of puja is improper. Under what category will his Shraddha come? Because from one angle, it should be Sattvic. It is Shraddha. From another angle, it cannot be Sattvic because it is full of mistakes. So what will be the categorization? How do you categorize this? This is the question. So Paramatma gave answer. When a faithful devotee worships Lord, the type of Shraddha that he enjoys will depend upon the type of mind that he possesses, the type of character that he has, since the mind will vary from individual to individual. Shraddha will also vary. Therefore, Paramatma said, the illiterate person, Shastra-wise illiterate person, Shraddha will come under three categories: Sattvic, Rajasic, or Tamasic. Now the question is, how will I know whether it is Sattvic, Rajasic, or Tamasic Shraddha? First, Shraddha itself is invisible faculty. Faith is an attribute of the mind. Mind itself is invisible. Faith, which is the attribute of the mind, is also aprathyaksham. So we cannot visualize this Shraddha, which is invisible. Whether it is Sattvic, Rajasic or Tamasic, I have no way of knowing. And therefore, Paramatma presents an alternative method by which we can infer this Shraddha. Because what is not perceptibly available can be known through inference, Anumana Pramana. That you have got a great grandfather. How do I know? Certainly not through perception. I know through inference. You are here because your parents are there. Your parents are there because their parents are there. So that way, when you go back, you get your grandparents. So through inference, you can get the required data. And the data for your grandfathers is what? It is a physical, it is not a physical presence, but it is an inference. Therefore, Paramatma says, the type of Shraddha can be inferred based on 3 observations. What are the 3 observations which will help in inferring the quality of the faith? So, one is the type of the deity this devotee is attracted to. One is the type of the deity this devotee is attracted to. Because in Vedic practices, there are so many deities. We have got 33.3 crore devatas. We have got Sattvic devataha, Rajasic devataha, Tamasic devataha. Sattvic devatas, they contribute to the spiritual growth. Rajasic devatas contribute to the material growth. Tamasic devatas contribute to the destruction and violence. So, it is something like, black magic and thinking of ill of somebody. If you do puja, that becomes tamasic puja. And the deity will be Kshudra Devata, otherwise called tamasic devatas. So one factor is the object of worship. The second factor is the motive of worship, which I call that as sankalpa, uddeshyam. What is the motive of my worship? If the motive is spiritual growth, it is sattvic. If it is material growth, it is rajasic. And if it is for destruction of others, then it is tamasic. So the second is the motive. The third one is what? The mode of worship. Krishna is going to point out later. If the mode of worship involves torture of the body, hurting oneself for others, all such worships will come under tamasic worship. Therefore, Shraddha will come under tamasic Shraddha. Mode of worship will be violent. And if it is Rajasic mode of worship, it is a type of worship in which a lot of extrovert activities are there. It is a heavily ritualistic. It is heavily extrovert, noisy, not only disturbing me, but even disturbing the neighbors. That is Rajasic worship. Highly physically oriented, highly verbally oriented. This is Rajasic worship. And Sattvic worship is a worship which is more turned inwards. It is highly physical and verbal, but mostly it is mental. And it turns my mind inward. So thus, depending upon the mode of worship, I can find out the type of Shraddha I have. Or these 3 factors, Krishna Paramatma has enumerated. The first factor in the 4th sloka, which we have completed in the last class. The Sattvic people will love Sattvic devatas. In fact, most of the popular deities we have are all Sattvic. Rama, Krishna, Shiva, Vishnu, Ganesha are all Sattvic. Yaksha, Rakshasamsi, Kinnara, Gandharva, etc., they are all Rajasic. And Shudra Devatas, they are all Tamasic. Like spirits and ghosts. Some people they invoke and they go to burial ground and do pujas. So this kind of puja is called Tamasic puja. We will now start from sloka number 5. Asastra vihitam goram tapyante ye tapojanaha dambhahankara samyuktaha kamaraga balanvitaha. Ye janaha, some people tapyante, practice goram tapaha, severe austerity, asastra vihitam, which is not prescribed by the scriptures, damba ahankara samyukta, they are given to pretension and egoism, kamaraga balanvitaha, and are possessed by impulse of desire and attachment. Some people practice severe austerity, which is not prescribed in the scriptures. They are given to pretension and egoism and are possessed by impulse of desire and attachment. In these two verses, Paramatma talks about Rajasic and Tamasic forms of worship based on the mode and motive. Krishna Paramatma does not segregate them. You have to classify appropriately. Asastra Vihitam, Rajasic and Tamasic worship involve violation of all the Shastric injunctions, violations of all spiritual rules and regulations. And Ghoram means terrible, frightening, even to hear. You would have seen people in which they torture the body by putting hooks all over the body and a sulam through the tongue and all kinds of things you cannot even see. How can you imagine doing that? And in Puranas, we hear that the people are cutting their body parts and cutting their head, cutting tongue, etc. And if you go to Himalayas, you can see all kinds of terrible things. Swamiji says, there was one Swami on the way to Badrinath, he never sits or lies down, all the time standing. He has got a wooden plank hanging from a branch, and how is he standing? Everything he does standing only. He has been standing there for days and months together, and his legs have swollen. He is doing tapas. Who is benefited? Nobody is benefited. All ignorance and illiteracy regarding the religion and spirituality. And people also are illiterate. If anyone does anything extra like this, they will throng around him and they pour money. Without proper clothing, there are people who do tapas in Himalayas. So these are all not prescribed. But they do it because of their ignorance. People mistake that as tapas. There are Ghoram and Tamasik. Ghora tapas. Janan tapyante. That's what Paramatma is saying. And all those people who do this, for what purpose? Dambhahankara samyuktaha. Because they want publicity, they want pomp and show, to tell public that I am a great tapasvi. So Damba and Ahankara, pride, vanity, samyukta, pride and vanity. This is the only motive. Kamaraga balanvitaha. Their desire is not moksha at all. Their desire is worldly name, fame, money. So kama means desire for worldly things. Raga means attachment. And bala means power. So you will see in Puranas, most of the Rakshasas begin with tapas only. If you read the tapas, it will be ghoram. After several centuries or thousands of years, Brahma, Vishnu or Maheshwara will appear before them, just as you see in TVs, and they will ask, what do you want? The person will immediately say, I want a life without death. I want a deathless life. Then Bhagavan said it is not possible. Then they will ask number of boons. Bhagavan will say tadastu and he will disappear. Then they will start doing all kinds of atrocities. They will first go to Indradokam and they will conquer Indra and they will snatch Ramba and Urvasi. All kinds of cruel things they resort to. This is what kind of tapas they do. You see Bhasmasura. Bhasmasura does tapas like this tamasic tapas, and Shiva appeared before him and asked him, what do you want? Then he said, if I touch someone's head, he should turn into ashes. Then Bhola Shankar, he said tadastu. Then this Bhasmasura wanted to test whether the boon has come true or not. Then he said, I want to test it on your head. See, this is the type of behavior and mindset these tamasic people will possess. So this is what we have. Therefore, remember, religion need not make a person spiritual. A materialistic religious people are also there. Rajasic religious people are also there. Vedantic religious people also are there. Therefore, here, these people are full of kama, raga and balam. Brutal strength, like, Ravana, Hiranyakasipu, Sisupala and all that. They were all worshippers of Lord. This will come under what? Rajasic and Tamasic variety. And we'll proceed to the sixth sloka. Karsayantas sarirastam bhutagrama macetasaha mam chaivantas sarirastam tan vidyasura nischayan. Achetasaha, these indiscriminate people, karshayantaha, torment, bhutagramam sarirastam, the organs in the body, eva mam, as well as me. They will hurt their body and also they will hurt me. Antaha sarirastam, who resides in the body. Tan, know them. Vidhi, tan asura nischayan, to be asura resolve. These indiscriminate people torment the organs of the body as well as me. They torment me also, who reside in the body. Know them to be of asura resolve, of asura nature. Their worship is tamasic. So Rajasic and Tamasic form of worship is continued. Karshayantaha, tormenting their body, starving their body too much, depriving the organs of the body of the required nutrition. Body is a gift from the Lord. It's a precious gift from the Lord. I should not pamper the body. At the same time, I should not torture the body also. Therefore, both the extremes are equally dangerous and bad. One pampers, other tortures. Therefore, karshayantaha means making the body weak by over fasting. That is never a practice in our religion. Initially, he can do all this, but later his health is shattered. With a shattered health, what type of religious practice he can continue? So this is the state of affairs. Torture is not the intention. Mastery is the intention. Once in a while, monthly, if you do upavasam and ekadasi, it is very good. But for days together, I do not eat. It is dangerous. Similarly, one day maunam is good, and avoid noise pollution, and others also will feel happy and they will have peace of mind. But if you do not talk for 10 years, this is not good, because you have to struggle to communicate, make gestures and write notes, etc. All artificially done. Bhagavan has given us mouth for communication. If I do not use that properly, Bhagavan will think the human birth is a waste for him. It is futile for him. So, one person went to the doctor and he said, I have a problem. The doctor said, what is the problem? The man said, I will not tell. You are a doctor. You have to find it out. Then the doctor gave a letter to the patient. Ask him to see. In that, it is written, you better consult a veterinary doctor. Naturally, because he was blessed with a mouth and he doesn't want to communicate. So how can a doctor diagnose his disease? So maunam is very good. In fact, if you do not abuse the organ of speech, it is really good. So the Vak Tapas we will understand little later. Bhagavan will elaborate about Vak Tapas later in this very chapter. Karshayantaha, over austerity. What? Bhutagramam means the organs. Each organ requires a particular nutrition, calcium, potassium, sodium, etc. If you do not give the food properly, it will weaken and finally it will lead to unnecessary complications. So, this is what we have to understand. We have to take water, we have to take proper food, and this is a very important thing. We should not starve, we should not punish our body. Therefore, achetasaha, unintelligent people, they neglect the physical health. By doing that, mam chaiva karshayantaha, they also hurt me. That's what Paramatma is saying. They are not only hurting their body, but they are hurting me. How they are hurting? Bhagavan is telling, they are hurting Bhagavan in two ways. One is, Bhagavan is residing in this body. Deho devalaya proktaha. Jivo devas sanatraha. This body is a temple. So by ill-treating the temple, you are insulting the God. That is one. Second thing is, whatever scriptures prescribe, you have to take it as a duty. The scriptures never said you have to torment the body. That means you are going against the scriptures. This is the second thing which hurts Bhagavan. So this is how they are tormenting Bhagavan also. They are hurting Tan. Tan means all such devotees. Asuran Nischayan. They are the devotees of Asuric nature, Asuric resolve, negative resolve, violent resolve. It will come under Rajasic and Tamasic Shraddha. So, with these three types of Shraddha we have completed, you have to add the motive also in this. Krishna Paramatma has not said here, but we can add. Any type of puja for spiritual growth is sattvic. For material growth is rajasic. For harming others is tamasic. So with this we will proceed to sloka number 7. आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य त्रिविधो भवति प्रियः यज्ञस्तपस्तदा दानं तेषां भेदमिमं शृणु. Aharaha, food, priyaha, liked by, sarvasya, by everyone. Bhavati tu api is also trividha, threefold. Tataha yajnaha, so also are yajnaha. Yajnaha means tapaha. Yajnaha means all yajnas. Then tapaha, austerity, danam and charity. Srunu, may you hear. Tesham imam bhedam, about their differences, about their division. Food is liked by everyone. This is also threefold. The food can also be divided in three ways. It is threefold. So also yajna, austerity and charity. So I'll explain all these things. So here about their division. With the previous verse, Paramatma has answered Arjuna's question. Therefore, he could have concluded with that answer, but Paramatma wanted to give more information. So he is continuing. Paramatma himself voluntarily chooses to add some more items, some more topics he chooses to discuss, for which Paramatma is giving introduction in these verses. Hey Arjuna, I will talk about more relevant things for spiritual seekers. What are those items? Aharaha, the food that a person consumes, is also three types. Trividha bhavati. Trividha means sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. Food can also be divided into these three categories. So in the type of food that we eat, sarvasya, a person can be categorized. And yajna, by the type of puja a person performs. Even though Paramatma talked about puja in the earlier sloka, it is from the standpoint of Shraddha. Here Paramatma wants to talk directly about puja. Therefore, yajnaha, the worship is trividha, three types, sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. Then tapaha means austerity, penance, is also three types. And finally, danam. All these are very, very important for a spiritual seeker. Danam means charity. Charity is very good. Even in charity, there are three types of charity. Sattvic charity, rajasic charity and tamasic charity. Tesham bhedam srunu. So may you know their classifications, their categories. And the general rule is, a sattvic person will naturally attracted to sattvic food and sattvic yajna, sattvic tapas and sattvic dana. Because as your mind is, so you will be and your desires will be. Therefore, what is sattvic food? Very easy definition. Whatever the food a sattvic person is attracted to. Problem is, who is sattvic person? Similarly, what is sattvic yajna? Whatever the yajna a sattvic person is attracted to. Therefore, Paramatma says trividha priyaha bhavati. A person depending upon the temperament is attracted towards one type of food. From that description, I will be able to know where I stand and also I can regulate my life. Therefore, Paramatma introduces them. Srunu, may you carefully listen to them. So hereafter, he will describe three varieties of ahara, the food. Same order, he will say In the same order, he will describe the types of yajna, the types of dhanam, the types of tapas. This is going to be the topic hereafter. We will see the 8th sloka. Ayus sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasya snigdha stira hrudyaha ahara satvika priyaha. Aharaha, those foods which ayuhu sattva balarogya sukha priti vardhanaha, which increase longevity, mental strength and physical strength, health, comfort and pleasure. Rasyaha, which are delicious. Snigdaha, which are not dry. Stiraha, nourishing. Hridyaha, are pleasing. Satvika priyaha, are liked by sattvic people. Those food which increase the longevity, mental strength, physical strength, health, comfort and pleasure, which are delicious and not dry, nourishing and pleasing, are liked by sattvic people. So, in these verses 8, 9 and 10, Paramatma deals with sattvic, rajasic and tamasic foods, respectively. One of the greatness of Vedic tradition is, in this tradition, even our natural instinctive activities are elevated to the level of the spiritual practice. In addition to the special spiritual sadhanas, there are many special spiritual sadhanas, but one uniqueness is, even our natural activities, even our instinctive mundane worldly activities, our scriptures elevate them into spiritual sadhana by appropriate modification. One of the most instinctive activity is what? Most fundamental and instinctive activity is, it takes from the very birth itself, the activity will continue up to the death. Which is that activity? Taking breath. That is breathing. It will continue even in our sleep. So it is not only instinctive activity of the human being, but it is the most fundamental activity of all living beings. That is why we are all called pranis. Means what? Praniti iti pranin. And the glory of the scriptures is, they point out, if you deliberately practice this instinctive operation, if you deliberately practice in a regulated manner and with a proper attitude, even the breathing can become a spiritual sadhana. Can you think of it anywhere else? Impossible. If you deliberately, in a regulated manner, with a proper attitude, you do the most fundamental action of breathing, even that becomes a sadhana, which is called pranayama. Pranayama is a transmutation of instinctive activity into spiritual sadhana. You deliberately breathe in and hold it for some time. You deliberately breathe out. In fact, only when you start pranayama, you are doing something called breathing. Nobody knows that they are breathing, and they do not know when it stops also. Only others will know. There is no chance of one knowing when will the breathing stop. So this deliberate regulated breathing is one of the most beautiful disciplines invented by the Vedic tradition. They say it is one of the most powerful disciplines for health. In Reader's Digest, there was an article few years ago. The title of the article was Health Under Your Nose. The European, he talked about the glory of pranayama. And then at the end, he writes, this wonderful discipline has been given by the Vedic tradition. So, this is not only a spiritual sadhana, but it will be a good sadhana to improve your health. So, in our regular puja also, while doing Om, Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha, like that, they make you do pranayama. So, pranayama is a part of our religious culture. Similarly, when you are eating, you don't simply gobble and eat it. You have to utter, Aham Vaisvanaro Bhutva Pradinam Deham Asritaha Pranapana Samayukta Pacham Yennam Chaturvidam Brahmarpanam Brahmavihi Brahmagnau Brahmanahutam Brahmaivate Nagantavyam Brahmakarma Samadhina Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Like this, you offer whatever you are eating to Vaisvanara Agni, so that it will become an yajna. All the food items will become a Naivedya. And Naivedya to Vaisvanara Agni. So this is a great yajna. Similarly, when you are taking a bath, you understand all waters, all holy waters in holy rivers enter into your bucket full of water, and then take the water for your bath. So that gives you a kind of sanctity, that gives you a kind of purity, and you can feel so much of sanctity and all that. Gangecha Yamune Cheva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri Jiresmin Sannidhin Kuru. So deliberately take bath and look upon the water. Ganga, Yamuna, we pour water uttering the names of the Lord. So this way you are purifying the water and purifying your body. So this is our practice. Every simple thing we convert them into puja. So this is our practice. So we are seeing the second factor is the quality of the food. The quality of the food first is the source. The second is the quality of the food. There also, they talked about sattvic, tamasic and rajasic. Krishna Paramatma is going to elaborate on this, but generally we consider the type of food that has been coming down in our tradition is well designed. Normal, regular vegetarian food comes under sattvic. Therefore, any serious spiritual seeker should be a vegetarian, according to our Shastra. And not only that, any food that is offered to the Lord will be sattvic in quality. The third one is quantity, very important factor. Quantity of the food, this is already discussed in the 6th chapter. So the first rule is, if you are hungry, then only you must eat. The food is not a sense pleasure. Food is meant for removing the hunger. And suppose you ask Swamiji, if I am not hungry, how much should I eat? How is this? Like that person, a doctor said in the night, eat only 2 chapatis. Then this person asked, after dinner or before dinner? The doctor said, during the dinner. Therefore, if you are not hungry, to save yourself and the society, do not eat. If you are hungry, how much to eat? Sufficient to remove the hunger. In fact, according to Shastra, a little bit hunger should be there. One more dosa, if you can eat, stop it there. So, this is the rule. So, then the last one is mode of eating. The mode or manner of eating, we will use the appropriate manner. It is a form of puja. I reverentially approach the process of eating. First rule is I do the puja sitting. It is started there. I do puja, therefore I am supposed to eat sitting, not running, not standing. Buffet is not our culture. One has to stand and walk. All those things are not there in our tradition, because that is not the method in which I do puja, and also the attitude is important. So thus the mode of eating, that is the attitude, we should observe very carefully. What is an offering is going to be the Lord inside. So don't stand and eat. Don't walk and eat. Therefore, annam na nindyat, annam na parichakshita. This is the reverential approach. So never blame the food. At the time of eating also, I am not supposed to indulge in any other activity. Imagine you are doing puja while talking on the phone to your neighbor. How will it be? What is more insulting than this? Therefore, during puja, we are not supposed to do anything simultaneously. Similarly, I do not say that you should not talk at all. At least the content of the talk, like scolding someone, etc., it is not supposed to be good. Reverential approach is important. So like this, every small detail is explained by Paramatma in this chapter. So we will try to analyze this and try to follow this and try to approach the sattvic way. The sattvic, we try to offer our puja to sattvic deity, and we will develop the sattvic nature, eat sattvic food in the manner it is prescribed by the Shastra. So that is the purpose. More we will learn in the next class. Om Tat Sat Sarvam Sri Krishna Arpanamastu. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudatyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.